The emergency room nurse wouldn't meet my eyes when she said my 7-year-old was in critical condition. She kept staring at her clipboard, fingers white against the edges, and I knew that look. I'd seen it in field hospitals in Kandahar when medics had to deliver news about soldiers who weren't coming back whole. "Mrs. Hawthorne, your daughter has significant injuries. The doctor will explain everything, but you should prepare yourself." Prepare myself. As if 20 years of military service could prepare any mother for seeing her baby broken in a hospital bed. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for what my daughter whispered when she finally opened her eyes. "Mom, I'm sorry." Her voice was so small, so fragile, like tissue paper in the wind. "Dad was with Aunt Serena in your bed." The words didn't make sense at first. My brain tried to rearrange them into something logical, something that wasn't the complete destruction of everything I thought I knew. When they saw me, he threw me down the stairs. The beeping of the machines faded. The bustling sounds of the hospital disappeared. All I could hear was my daughter's labored breathing and those impossible words echoing in my skull. "They're still there, drinking whiskey in the kitchen," Daddy said to tell everyone I fell playing dress-up. 20 years of military training hadn't prepared me for this moment, but it sure as hell prepared me for what came next. My name is Captain Victoria Hawthorne, though I left that title behind 2 years ago when I traded my combat boots for a stethoscope at a veterinary clinic. People in our small Nebraska town know me as Doc Tori, the woman who saves their pets and never talks about her 3 tours in Afghanistan. They don't know about the bronze star hidden in my closet or the nightmares that still wake me at 3 a.m. My daughter Meadow is 7 years old with my stubborn chin and her father's green eyes. She loves dinosaurs, hates broccoli, and insists on wearing her purple rain boots even when the sun is shining. She's the reason I came home from the war, the reason I fight through the PTSD, the reason I get up every morning even when the darkness tries to pull me under. Dennis Hawthorne, my husband of 9 years, is what everyone calls a good man. He manages the local bank, coaches Little League on weekends, and brings me coffee in bed every Sunday morning. At least he used to. For the past few months, he'd been working late, missing dinners, growing distant in that way that made me blame myself. Maybe I'd brought too much of the war home with me. Maybe I wasn't the wife he'd married anymore. And then there's Serena, my younger sister by 3 years, where I'm all sharp edges and military precision. Serena flows like water. She sells houses with a smile that could charm paint off a wall, shows up with wine when I'm having bad days, and has been Meadow's favorite aunt since the day she was born. Aunt Serena taught her to braid hair, paint her nails, and whistle loud enough to call dogs from 3 blocks away. The 4 of us were supposed to be a family. Sunday barbecues in the backyard, holiday traditions that would last generations. Serena helping with Meadow when my veteran support group meetings ran late. Dennis being patient with my struggles, the way he'd promised in our vows. But right now, standing in this sterile hospital room, watching my daughter's chest rise and fall beneath white sheets that made her look even smaller, I understood that everything had been a lie. The rage that filled me wasn't hot. It was ice cold. The kind of clarity that used to come over me right before a mission. My hands weren't shaking. My voice wouldn't crack. Every piece of military training, every combat instinct, every survival skill I'd earned with blood and sacrifice crystallized into a single, undeniable truth. Nobody hurts my baby and lives to tell about it. Not my husband, not my sister, not anyone. The nurse returned, still avoiding my gaze. "Mrs. Hawthorne, the police are here. They need to speak with you about the incident." Incident. Such a clean word for such a dirty betrayal. "Tell them I'll be right there," I said, my voice steady as a sniper's aim. "But first, I need a moment alone with my daughter." As the nurse left, I leaned down and kissed Meadow's forehead, careful not to disturb the bandages. "Mommy's gonna fix this, baby. I promise." And I meant it. God help me. I meant every word. The morning started like any other Thursday in our quiet Nebraska town. I was at my veterinary clinic by 6:30, preparing for surgery on Mrs. Henderson's ancient tabby cat who'd swallowed yet another hair tie. The October air was crisp, leaves crunching under my boots as I'd walked from my truck to the clinic door, coffee steaming in my travel mug. Dennis had kissed me goodbye at 5:45. Same as always, a quick peck on the forehead while I was still half asleep, his cologne already perfect, tie already knotted. "Big meeting today with Regional," he'd said. "I'll watch Meadow after school since you're covering Coleman's emergency shift." Dr. Coleman had broken his wrist playing pickleball, of all things, and I'd agreed to handle his afternoon appointments along with my morning surgeries. It meant a 12-hour day, but the extra money would help with Meadow's dance classes. Dennis had been complaining about finances lately, even though bank managers made good money. Another thing I'd been meaning to talk to him about but kept putting off. "Tell Meadow I'll call her after lunch," I'd mumbled into my pillow. "She's got that field trip today, remember?" To the pumpkin patch. Right. The pumpkin patch. I'd signed the permission slip last week, packed her lunch with extra cookies to share with her best friend, Gracie. Normal mom things. The kind of things I'd dreamed about doing when I was sitting in a forward operating base, wondering if I'd ever make it. Home to have a family. My sister Serena had texted me around 7 that morning. "Showing the Morrison property all day, but I can grab Meadow if you need me to. You know I love my niece time." She always ended her texts with too many exclamation points, like she was permanently enthusiastic about life. It used to annoy me when I first came home, when everything felt too bright, too loud, too much. But Serena had been patient with me, showing up with casseroles when I couldn't get out of bed, taking Meadow to the park when the sound of her playing was too much for my frayed nerves. "Dennis has it covered," I texted back. "But thanks. You sure? I can rearrange." "All good. Focus on your sale." She'd responded with a string of heart emojis and a "give Meadow extra hugs from me." The veterinary clinic was my sanctuary. Animals didn't ask about my scars. They didn't care that I sometimes jumped at car backfires or that I kept my back to walls in restaurants. They just needed help, and I could give it to them. Simple, clean. Nothing like the complex medical traumas I'd dealt with overseas. By noon, I'd successfully completed 3 surgeries, vaccinated 8 dogs, and talked Mr. Buchanan through his grief over his 15-year-old retriever's cancer diagnosis. I was good at this life. I was healing, my therapist said, making progress. The nightmares only came twice a week now instead of every night. I was washing my hands, thinking about calling home to check on Meadow when my phone rang. The caller ID showed the hospital's main line. "Is this Victoria Hawthorne?" The voice was professional, detached, the kind they train you to use when delivering bad news. "Yes." "This is St. Mary's Hospital. Your daughter has been admitted to emergency." The soap dispenser clattered into the sink. "What happened?" "How bad?" "Ma'am, you should come immediately. She's stable, but there are significant injuries. Stable, but significant. Medical code for alive but damaged. The drive should have taken 20 minutes. I made it in 8, running every red light, my hands steady on the wheel despite the tornado in my chest. Muscle memory from convoy runs in Afghanistan kicked in. That ability to function while your world explodes around you. My mind kept replaying the morning, searching for signs I'd missed. Meadow had been quiet at breakfast, pushing her cereal around instead of eating. When I'd asked if everything was okay, she'd nodded but didn't meet my eyes. "Daddy was up late again," she'd said. "I heard him on the phone in his office." "Work's been busy for him, sweetheart, I guess." Now, racing toward the hospital, those words felt different. The late nights, the distracted dinners, the way Dennis had started doing his own laundry, the way Serena always seemed to know things about our house that I hadn't told her, like when we'd fixed the garage door or that Dennis had started using a new cologne. My marriage hadn't been perfect. Lately we'd been distant, sure, but I'd blamed myself. The war had changed me. I wasn't the sunny, optimistic woman Dennis had married. I was harder now, vigilant, always waiting for the next threat. Maybe he'd gotten tired of waiting for his wife to come all the way home. But whatever problems we had, Dennis was a good father. He read bedtime stories with different voices for each character. He taught Meadow to ride her bike, running beside her for hours until she got it right. He would never hurt her, would he? The pediatric ICU smelled like fear and antiseptic, a combination that transported me straight back to field hospitals in Afghanistan. But this was worse. This was my daughter. Dr. Reeves stood by the nurse's station, studying a tablet. I'd known Carl Reeves since high school when he was just a skinny kid who wanted to be a doctor, and I was the girl who did pull-ups at lunch to prep for basic training. His face told me everything before he said a word. "Tori, sit down," Just tell me." "She has a severe concussion, 3 broken ribs and a fractured wrist. Her left shoulder was dislocated, but we've reset it. There's significant bruising along her spine." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "She fell down the stairs, according to your husband." "Where is Dennis?" "He left after dropping her off. Said he had an important meeting at the bank." "An important meeting?" "Our daughter was lying in the ICU, and he had an important meeting." "Can I see her?" "In a moment." "Tori, I need to ask you something." Carl's voice dropped. "The pattern of injuries, they're consistent with a fall, but some of the bruising looks defensive. Has Meadow mentioned any problems at home?" "What are you asking me, Carl?" "I'm asking if there's anything you want to tell me before I file my report." The implication hung between us. Mandatory reporter, Child Protective Services, an investigation. I thought of Dennis's gentle hands braiding Meadow's hair, his patience when she struggled with math homework. "There's nothing," I said. "Can I see my daughter now?" They led me to her room, past other tragedies behind curtained glass. Meadow looked impossibly small in the hospital bed, machines monitoring her vitals, her arm encased in a bright pink cast. Purple bruises colored her cheek. Her lips were dry, cracked. An IV dripped steadily into her good arm. I pulled a chair close, took her uninjured hand in mine. Her fingers were so small, still dimpled at the knuckles like a baby's. I'd held these same fingers when she took her first steps, when she started kindergarten, when she got her ears pierced last month. After an hour, her eyes fluttered open, unfocused at first, then finding me. "Mommy?" "I'm here, baby. You're safe now." Her eyes filled with tears that spilled down her bruised cheeks. "I'm sorry, Mommy. I didn't mean to see them." My heart stopped. "See who, sweetheart?" "Daddy and Aunt Serena." Her voice was barely above a whisper, but each word landed like a grenade. "They were in your bed." "They were doing grown-up things, kissing and stuff, with no clothes." The room tilted. I gripped the bed rail hard enough to crack the plastic, fighting to keep my face neutral. "Are you sure it was Aunt Serena?" She was wearing the bracelet I made her for her birthday, the one with the purple beads, and she had her special perfume, the one that smells like vanilla cookies. Meadow's voice broke. "I just wanted my teddy bear from your room." Mr. Buttons was lonely in my room, and I thought if I got him really quiet, nobody would know. "What happened then, baby?" "Daddy saw me in the doorway." He jumped up really fast and his face got all red and scary. He used the bad words you said never to say. He grabbed my arm hard, right here. She pointed to purple finger marks on her upper arm. I tried to run, but he pulled me back. He was yelling about how I ruined everything. Then he pushed me, hard. I fell all the way down the stairs backwards. My vision tunneled. Red crept in at the edges. The same rage I'd felt when our convoy was ambushed, when I'd seen my squad member's body after an IED. But this was different. This was my child. "What did they do after you fell?" I couldn't move. "Everything hurt so bad. Aunt Serena came down, wrapped in your yellow robe, the one Grandma gave you. She was crying. Daddy said they had to take me to the hospital, but they had to get their story straight first. He made me promise not to tell anyone about seeing them. He said if I told, you would leave us and I'd never see you again. He said it would be all my fault for sneaking around." "Oh, sweetheart. None of this is your fault." Then Aunt Serena said maybe they should give me some of Daddy's whiskey for the pain, but Daddy said that would look suspicious. They got dressed really fast. Daddy kept saying this wasn't supposed to happen over and over. Aunt Serena put ice on my head and told me I was being so brave, but she looked scared. Dr. Reeves had returned with a social worker, a woman with kind eyes and silver hair. I hadn't heard them enter, but military training meant I'd positioned myself to see the door. As Meadow repeated her story, I felt something cold and familiar settle over me. The same clarity I'd felt before missions. The same deadly calm that preceded necessary violence. "Mrs. Hawthorne," the social worker said gently, "we've contacted the police. They'll need your daughter's statement. We'll also need to document her injuries thoroughly." "Are they going to arrest him?" I asked, my voice steady despite the hurricane inside me. "They'll investigate first. These cases can be complicated, especially with family involved. It could take time." Time. While my 7-year-old lay broken in a hospital bed, betrayed by the two people she trusted most after me, they wanted time. I kissed Meadow's forehead as she drifted back to sleep, the pain medication finally taking effect. Her small hand went slack in mine, and I carefully tucked it under the hospital blanket. The social worker was still talking about protocols and procedures, but her voice had become white noise. "I need to make some calls," I said, standing up. "My mother needs to know." The social worker nodded. "Take your time. We'll stay with Meadow." I stepped into the hallway and dialed my mother. Ruth Hawthorne answered on the second ring, her voice bright. "Victoria, I was just thinking about you. Is Meadow excited about her field trip?" "Mom, I need you at St. Mary's Hospital, Pediatric ICU." The brightness vanished. "What happened?" Dennis pushed Meadow down the stairs. She caught him in bed with Serena. Silence. Then, "I'll be there in 10 minutes." My mother arrived in 8, her face carved from stone. Ruth Hawthorne was 71 years old, a retired school principal who still made grown men nervous. She took one look at Meadow through the glass and her jaw tightened. "Tell me everything." I did. Every detail, every word Meadow had said. My mother listened without interrupting, her hands clenched in her lap. "Victoria, don't do anything stupid." "Define stupid, Mom." "Whatever you're thinking with that look on your face. The same look you had when you came back from your second tour. Let the police handle this. The police want to investigate. Build a case. That takes time." "And what's the alternative? You going to prison while Meadow grows up without her mother?" I looked through the window at my daughter, so small and broken. "He's still at home, Mom." "With her, drinking whiskey in my kitchen while my baby lies here with broken ribs." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do." I pulled out my phone, showed her the Find My iPhone app. Dennis's phone was at home. I'd checked Serena's Instagram earlier. She'd posted a story 3 hours ago showing a wine glass with the caption, "Afternoon off." The geolocation tag showed our neighborhood, Victoria. "Stay with Meadow. If she wakes up, tell her Mommy had to run an errand. I'll be back soon. Victoria, please." But I was already walking toward the elevator. The cold clarity had fully settled now, that mission mindset that had kept me alive through 3 tours. Assess plan, execute. I drove home carefully, legally, observing every traffic law. I parked 2 blocks away at the small park where Meadow liked to feed ducks. The walk gave me time to control my breathing, to push down the rage until it became something useful. Rage made you sloppy. Cold precision kept you alive. Our house looked normal from the outside. Dennis's BMW in the driveway, freshly washed like always. Serena's white Lexus parked behind it, blocking him in. Interesting. The living room curtains were drawn even though it was only 3 in the afternoon. I had a key, but I knocked instead. Loud. Authoritative. The kind of knock that demanded an answer. Movement inside. Whispered voices. Then Dennis opened the door, his face going from annoyed to terrified in 1 second flat. "Tori, I thought you'd be at the hospital." His shirt was untucked, hair messed up. He reeked of whiskey. "How's Meadow?" Kids, you know, always falling and hurting themselves. "Cut the act, Dennis." Serena appeared behind him, wearing my robe. My grandmother's silk robe that she'd brought back from Japan, that I only wore on special occasions. The audacity of it made my vision narrow to a pinpoint. "Tori, this isn't what it looks like," Serena said, trying to smooth down her tangled hair. "Really? Because it looks like you two nearly killed my daughter to keep your affair secret." "She fell," Dennis protested, but his hand was shaking as he gripped the doorframe. I noticed the scratches on his neck, 3 parallel lines where small fingers had fought back. Meadow had tried to defend herself. My brave girl. "Let me in." "I don't think that's a good idea," Dennis said, trying to block the doorway. "Dennis, you have 2 choices. You can let me in and we handle this like adults, or I can call the police right now and tell them you're interfering with a mother trying to collect belongings for her hospitalized child. Your choice." He stepped back. I walked in, closing the door behind me with deliberate calm. The living room was a mess. Empty whiskey bottle on the coffee table, 2 glasses. Serena's purse spilled across my couch, her clothes scattered on my floor. "I want you both to listen very carefully," I said, keeping my voice level. "I've killed for my country. I've interrogated terrorists who thought they were tough until they weren't. I've survived things that would break both of you in seconds, and right now I'm deciding whether you both leave this house breathing." Dennis stumbled backward. "You're threatening us? I'll call the police, please do. Explain to them why you're drunk at 3 in the afternoon while your daughter is in the ICU. Explain why you have defensive wounds on your neck. Explain why Serena is wearing my robe." The weight of their situation was starting to sink in. I could see it in their eyes, that animal recognition of a predator. Good. They should be afraid. "Sit down," I commanded. "Both of you. We're going to have a conversation about what happens next, and you're going to listen very carefully if you want to walk away from this intact." They sat on my couch like scolded children, Dennis gripping his whiskey glass with white knuckles, Serena pulling my grandmother's robe tighter around herself. I remained standing, positioning myself between them and the door. Basic tactical advantage. "You're threatening us." Dennis tried to sound confident, but his voice cracked. "That's assault. I'll have you arrested." "No, Dennis. I'm giving you one chance. The truth. All of it. Now." I pulled out my phone, opened the recording app, and set it on the coffee table between us. The red recording light blinked steadily. "Start talking." "You can't record us without our consent," Serena said, her real estate agent knowledge kicking in. "It's illegal. Nebraska is a one-party consent state, sister. I can record any conversation I'm part of. You should know that, selling all those houses to cheating husbands, hiding assets from their wives." That hit home. Serena's face went pale. "How long?" I asked. They looked at each other, some silent communication passing between them, the kind of wordless conversation that comes from intimacy. My stomach turned. 8 months, Serena whispered. "It started 8 months ago." 8 months. I did the math quickly. That was right after my bad period, when the PTSD had gotten so severe I'd spent 2 weeks barely able to leave the bedroom, when Serena had moved in temporarily to help with Meadow, when Dennis had been so understanding, so patient. "Tell me how it started." "Does it matter?" Dennis snapped. "Everything matters. Talk." Serena broke first. She always was the weaker one. "You were having those nightmares, the ones where you'd scream and thrash around. Dennis started sleeping in the guest room. I was here helping with Meadow, making dinner, doing bedtime routines. One night after you'd taken your sleeping pills, Dennis and I were cleaning up the kitchen. He was crying, Tori. He said he felt like he'd lost his wife, that you were gone even when you were here." "So you comforted him," I said flatly. "It wasn't supposed to happen." "We were just talking, and then we were kissing, and then we couldn't stop. We tried, Tori. We really tried to stop." 8 months of trying. How noble. Dennis found his courage in the whiskey. "You want to know the truth? Fine. You came back broken. You're not the woman I married. You're paranoid, you're cold, you jump at shadows. I spent 2 years walking on eggshells, never knowing if I'd trigger some episode. Serena actually smiled at me. She actually wanted to be touched. So you threw our daughter down the stairs to keep your secret. That was an accident." Dennis stood up, swaying slightly. "She wasn't supposed to be upstairs. She was supposed to be at school." "The field trip was canceled," I said. "The school called Dennis's phone at 9 this morning. I checked the call log while you were getting dressed. You knew she was home." The color drained from his face. "I forgot. We were already upstairs, and then suddenly she was just there, staring at us. I panicked." "You panicked," I repeated. "So you grabbed a 7-year-old hard enough to leave bruises and threw her down 14 stairs." "I didn't throw her. I pushed her away and she fell." "Demonstrate," I said. "What?" "Show me how you pushed her. Serena, stand up. Show me exactly what happened." They looked at each other again. Serena stood slowly, moving to the hallway. "I was still in the bedroom." Dennis went after her. Dennis moved to the stairs, his movement sluggish from the whiskey. "She was here, at the top." I grabbed her arm to stop her from running. "Show me how hard." He reached out half-heartedly. "That wouldn't leave the bruises I saw. Show me how you really grabbed her." "This is insane," Dennis said. "Do it." He grabbed Serena's arm harder. She winced. Harder. "The bruises are purple, Dennis. Finger-shaped. Show me what you did to our baby." He grabbed harder. Serena cried out. "Now show me the push." "Tori, please. Serena begged. "Show me." Dennis shoved Serena. Not hard enough to make her fall, but enough to make her stumble backward. Like that. But she was smaller and she lost her balance. "You pushed a 40-pound child with adult force. I didn't mean for her to fall." "No, you just meant to silence her, to scare her into keeping your secret." I picked up my phone, stopped the recording. "Congratulations, you just confessed to assault, child endangerment, and conspiracy to file a false report." Their faces went white, the reality crashing down on them. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, my voice calm and steady. "Dennis, you're signing divorce papers, uncontested, full custody to me. You'll pay child support, medical bills, and college tuition. You'll move out of state within 30 days. Serena, you're dead to this family. If either of you come near Meadow again, if you even think about fighting this, I release this recording to the police, your employer, and every social media platform that exists." "You're blackmailing us," Dennis said. "I'm showing mercy." Prison would be worse. I leaned in close, letting them see the soldier I'd been, the one who'd survived ambushes and IED blasts and watching friends die. But here's the thing about mercy. It's conditional. This recording keeps you safe, only as long as you comply. Test me, and you'll learn what I learned in Afghanistan about problems that need permanent solutions. I still have contacts. People who specialize in making problems disappear. Dennis wet himself. The dark stain spread across his khakis while Serena hyperventilated into her hands. "Get out. Both of you. Pack one bag each. You have 10 minutes. 3 months later, Meadow was healing beautifully, both physically and emotionally. The cast came off after 6 weeks, revealing her arm pale but whole. The bruises faded from purple to yellow to nothing, though I still saw them sometimes when I closed my eyes. Physical therapy twice a week had her range of motion back to normal. The child therapist, Dr. Martinez, said she was remarkably resilient. "Like her mother," she'd said during our last session, giving me that knowing look therapists perfect in graduate school. Children model what they see. "She sees you moving forward, so she knows she can too." Dennis fled to Florida before the police could build their case. He'd signed everything I demanded within 48 hours of our confrontation. The divorce lawyer, a veteran herself, had looked at me with understanding when I'd explained the situation. "Fastest, uncontested divorce I've ever processed," she'd said. "Usually takes months. This took 3 weeks. Dennis agreed to supervised visitation rights he never once attempted to use. The child support payments hit my account on the 1st of every month, along with a separate payment for Meadow's medical bills and therapy. He'd even set up the college fund I'd demanded, fully funded for a 4-year degree. Fear, it turns out, is an excellent motivator. Serena moved to California, as far from Nebraska as she could get without leaving the country. She'd tried calling once, 2 weeks after everything happened. I'd answered just to deliver one message. "If you contact us again, the recording goes public." She hadn't called again. My mother moved in temporarily to help while I navigated single parenthood. She never asked exactly what I'd said to Dennis and Serena that day. She didn't need to. She'd raised a soldier. She knew that some battles are won with words sharper than any weapon. The real victory came 6 months later. Meadow and I were at the park, the same one where I'd parked my car that awful day. She was pumping her legs on the swing, hair flying behind her in the spring breeze when she suddenly stopped. "Mom, can I ask you something?" "Always, baby." "Why did Daddy and Aunt Serena do that?" Was it my fault they didn't love us anymore? I knelt in front of her, taking her small hands in mine. "Listen to me very carefully. None of this was your fault. Sometimes adults make selfish choices that hurt the people who love them. Daddy and Aunt Serena chose to betray our trust. They chose to lie. And when you discovered their lies, Daddy chose to hurt you to protect himself. Those were their choices, not yours. But why? I don't know, sweetheart. Sometimes people we love disappoint us in ways we never expected. But you know what? We're stronger without them. We don't need people in our lives who would hurt us." She thought about this, her 7-year-old mind processing complex emotions. "Mom, I'm glad you made the bad people go away." "Bad people?" "Daddy and Aunt Serena. They were bad people pretending to be good. But you protected me. You're like Captain America, but real and a girl." I pulled her close, breathing in her strawberry shampoo scent, feeling her heart beat against mine. "No, baby. I'm just your mom, and that's the most powerful thing in the world. The truth is, military training didn't save my daughter that day. Yes, it gave me the tactical thinking to record the confession. Yes, it gave me the emotional control to handle the confrontation without violence. Yes, it made me dangerous enough that Dennis and Serena believed my threats. But what really saved her was love. Pure, fierce, maternal love that would burn down the world to protect my child. The kind of love that transcends training or experience or capability. The kind of love that makes ordinary people capable of extraordinary things. Dennis and Serena learned that lesson the hard way. They're still out there, somewhere, looking over their shoulders, wondering if today's the day I change my mind about letting them live with their choices. That fear, that's their prison. And it's exactly what they deserve. Because here's what I learned through all of this. You don't need weapons to destroy someone who's hurt your child. Sometimes all you need is the truth, a recording app, and the absolute certainty that you'd do anything to protect what matters most. My name is Victoria Hawthorne. I'm a veteran who served 3 tours in Afghanistan. I'm a veterinarian who saves animals every day. I'm a survivor who battles PTSD and wins more often than not. But most importantly, I'm Meadow's mom. And that last title, that's the one that makes me the most dangerous. Nobody hurts my baby and walks away unscathed. Nobody. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to protect someone you love from those who should have protected them, please like this video and share it. Your story matters too. Comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more powerful, real stories of survival, justice, and the unbreakable bond between a parent and child. Together, we're stronger than those who would hurt us.